Hello, Eastern EACE. It's Phil and Wilkerson back with another episode of Eastern EACE Conversations with Phil and Whit, and I am joined by Whitney. We offline decided who was going to do these slides to say what's going on, and so we're going to do some quick announcements as we have a great episode for you today. Today we have with us joining us is Jill Milon, but I'm gonna let Whitney do the introduction, but you can see the first slide. One thing I want to share is the Eastern EACE affinity groups. They've been launched, but there's still opportunities to join or share interests. So please visit the Eastern EACE website and consider which affinity group you would like to be a part of or participate. Thank you to Gerald Tang for leading this initiative as the Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion for Eastern EACE. With that being said, the first event of the affinity group will be hosted by the Black and African American affinity group, which yours truly is a member of as the board liaison. And this is co-chaired by Brianna Walker and Monique Sample. Really excited for all the programming that they are going to do this year. But the first one, because this is Mentorship Month, January is National Mentorship Month, we're going to have a conversation about mentorship. So we're really excited for that. And then last but not least, just another announcement, mark your calendars, get live. I think obviously, Whitney can attest to all the planning that goes into this as the past conference co-chair, but the conference is June 19th through the 21st in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and the Eagles that lost in the playoffs. Shout out to them. And without further ado, I'm going to have Whitney come on and introduce our guest today.
I cannot deal with you. I'm not even an Eagles fan, but don't come for the Eagles. I'm in Philly right now, so I don't need to get yelled at through the walls of my apartment. Anyway, so don't we have another slide before? Oh, no, it comes at the end. All right.
Yeah, we got one more. My bad. You're right. No, did I get right? We have 5. I thought
we did. Look at you. You know what? Hi, Eastern EACE. How y'all doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. I don't know if it's a snow day for everybody, but I know it's a snow day for me. All right. So we definitely have an amazing guest today. Jill, as we all know, is past president. I was going to go into the other things that was on that slide, but you know what, Phil, just handle it. So, we have not a couple more, but 3 more shows after this, right? Maybe 4. I don't know. But we have some amazing guests that will be joining us in the future. So please make sure that you tune in later on and, we'll always try and keep it as entertaining as possible. Now, without further ado, I will introduce today's guest.
You guys crack me up. You guys are too funny.
It's too much. It's definitely too much. But Ms. Past-Presidente. All right. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great on this snowy, cold day. And I'm going to apologize in advance in case my bandwidth jumps a little bit. It's, at home school day. Everybody's working from home. So it's a little tricky today, but we're holding it down. It's good to see the snow out there.
Absolutely. I love being home. I'm happy about that. But Phil,
we're going to make an assumption that you don't know everybody, which you do, but we're going to make an assumption that for those that are new, Jill, can you just give a little background on who you are, both professionally and within Eastern EACE? Because even though I feel like you know everybody, there might be some people that are watching that don't know you. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
That just means that you're calling me old, Phil. So, I'll make sure that I keep that in the back of my mind. So, my name is Jill Milon. Some of the old timers know me more as Jill Bodino. So Jill Bodino Milon, whatever you want to call me, I answer to it all. I've been in this space since, I'll date myself, the very late 90s, and working on the higher ed side in the career centers. I spent a lot of time on the associate member side, as Eastern EACE would call it, or the vendor side. I worked at Monster for well over a decade, and it even helped to build some college recruiting programs through Eastern EACE. I mean, this is kind of where I found my home. These are kind of my people. So, this is as a very young professional, I got engaged and went to my very first Eastern ACE conference and my very first job, and was like, wow, okay, I have a lot to learn here. And folks said, okay, well, how about you? Let's get you on a committee. Let's get you involved. And the rest is history. So I think I've been on just about every committee, it seems. I've spent a couple of terms on the board. I was lucky enough to serve as Eastern ACE president. And so I am lucky. And I always say, everyone's like, wow, you've been around the block a little bit. Yes, again, calling me old, but that's okay. But I always say, they're like, you're a wealth of knowledge. And I'm like, really, I'm not. I know people who are a wealth of knowledge. So what makes me successful or has made me successful is really kind of, again, I'll date myself, the Rolodex that I have, or my contact list for all you young people in my iPhone. So, I know a lot of experts in the field, and I'm lucky to call them colleagues and friends. And I've gotten a lot of that from Eastern ACE.
Awesome. Thanks, Jill.
Of course.
If you all didn't know Jill, you should know her now. All right. Just saying, Jill knows everybody. She probably knows you on the low. Anyway, so let's get right into it. So, Phil mentioned earlier that January is mentorship month, right? So can you talk to us a little bit about your experience in this mentorship world and how you got involved?
Sure. So, it's funny. I talk about mentorship and being a mentor, and I've had folks that call me a mentor all the time, and it scares the life out of me because I'm like, oh, I don't know what that is. What is that job title? What is that? What does that look like? I don't know how to do that. And if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. And so, and thinking about that, as folks have started to call me mentor, I'm like, wow, really thinking about that, because I thought it was like a formal thing. But it's not, right? So I was thinking about my experience, and I had such an honor to have wonderful mentors early on in my career, throughout my career, that I didn't even realize that that's what was going on. So much so that a few years ago, I reached out to one of my biggest mentors, and I was like, hey, one, thank you for all the guidance that you've given me. I didn't even realize how much you really did for me in my career and helping me advance without even me realizing it. And I said to her, I said, it's funny because people are calling me a mentor, and I'm like, and she's like, Jill, you've been a mentor since you were in your 20s. And I'm like, wait, she's like, you just have that natural ability in connecting with people. And that's just who you are. And I didn't think about that. But then as I was thinking about it a little bit more, I was like, you know what? I played softball in college again, many, many, many years ago. But I was always that upperclassman that would invite all the freshmen, the newcomers, to my house for dinner and have dinner, and just making sure everybody kind of got used to kind of college life. And so I think that, it's so important just to have folks that are looking out for you and to find that commonality. And I think for me, it has been one of those things where it's not a formal process. It's been more just kind of happens. Like you just meet people. And I always say that I meet people and I can tell that they get it. And what does that mean? Whether they get it, I don't know. I can't describe it. But I'm like, you just get it, and I see that potential, and I get excited when I see other people's potential. That's the thing that really kind of drives me. Is I'm like, wow, you get it. There's so much potential, and how do I help to help you move forward?
I love that because I remember one of our earliest phone calls, you said you wanted to talk to me. I thought I was in trouble.
Which could be the case too.
Yeah,
I reserve that right. I reserve that right to make sure you're in trouble.
Then you reached out and said, I think you kind of conned me into leadership. I mean, you said you should try it. And then I was like, wow, it's not as scary as I thought it was. Right. So maybe can you speak to that, that notion of pulling out potential, and where was an instance where someone pulled it out of you, and while you were in that space, you're like, wow, this is not as scary as I thought it was because this mentor brought me in. That kind of reversed what you did to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it was probably my very first managerial position. So I was working at Monster at the time on a team of about 12, 15 folks. And somebody was going out on maternity leave, and the big executive vice president said, Jill, I'd like you to lead the team. And I was like, I am the youngest person on this team, the one with the least amount of experience, and you're asking me to do this? What are you, crazy? But she saw the potential in me. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. Which is a common statement that I make a lot still to this day is, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I like? I don't understand. Even being a mom, I'm like, you're going to give me this child. I don't know what I'm doing. But I think that, it's one of those things where I had that guidance and, it's okay. One of the biggest things that I learned was it's okay. And you should ask a lot of questions. And that is what a great mentor is there to do, to answer those questions and to help guide you. And I think that was really kind of the biggest experience. Of course, we all have those moments of, why me? Like, I don't think I could do this. That imposter syndrome, like, hits hard, right? But then you have those mentors that see that potential and see kind of your worth and your value and know that you can do it. And I think that's kind of that driving force. So to know that, one, she was coming to me and telling me, you can do this. I believe in you. I know you can do this. Then I was like, oh gosh, well, I better perform, right? And I have to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can at this. So I think that those are some of the things that kind of from my experience, my past experience, that's probably the first time that I was like, oh my goodness, like, wow. And kind of really leaning into asking those questions. I always say, I don't know a lot. There's probably more that I don't know than I do know. So asking questions is okay. And leaning into that network that you have.
Awesome. So I always want to hear like the realness when it comes down to like anything, leadership, mentorship, whatever it is. Yep. So can you share with us whether or not, and I'm sure you have, whether or not you've encountered like challenges, in this mentorship space, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of challenges from all sides of the mentorship side of the house. There's folks that come to you and they're like, "Hey, I want you to be my mentor." There's only a bandwidth issue, right? So in terms of if I'm going to do something, I want to do it the best that I possibly can. I am somebody who has a hard time saying no, but I also am somebody who, when I give all and then some. So that's always one of the things that I have a hard time with. I see potential in so many folks, and it's just a matter of how much of me I can give, because I'm an overgiver. And that has always been a real challenge for me, is to be like, okay, well, what do I have? What is my true bandwidth? And how do I help? And sometimes I don't even know how to help folks. And I always want to help, right? So I want to jump in and help and do whatever I can. But sometimes I'm like, I'm not really sure if I can even help you. If you think it's helpful, great, but you have to tell me if it's helpful or not, or how I can help you. So I think those lines of communication are super important. Like, how can I help you, and how do you see me helping you? And that will make it more defined for me, and be able to tell you whether I can really commit and making sure that I'm giving what I want to, in terms of, because I always want to give more than I have, because I guess that's who I am.
I love that. And I think you kind of spoke about reciprocity, right? Give and take, right?
Of course.
And so, where I think we always focus on what the mentee gets, but, what are some of the things that you get as a mentor? Like, and that fuels you, that you feel like you're getting something out of this relationship. Like, in that, I'm not going to say the word again, because I'm probably going to mispronounce it. But you know what I mean? Okay. Yeah.
Reciprocity. I gotcha. Yeah. I think that I get more than the people that call me their mentor get. And I think that is the craziest part about it, is like, they think I'm helping them, and I'm like, I'm not doing anything, but I am learning so much from you. So in a lot of cases, it can be like newer professionals or, and I am learning way more from them than I think they're learning from me. They might say it differently, which I'm not really sure is the case, but I think that in a lot of cases, I have learned so much. I think this, again, being kind of the older, more, I'll call myself seasoned professional. I think that, some of the newer professionals that have come in, even just looking out for your well-being, that's not something that my generation has ever done. I've always been like workaholic. You put your head down, you bang it out, you work as many hours as you can. And here's this, new generation that are like, hey, you got to look out for yourself. This is something that I am learning. Natalie has done a really good job of being like, hey, watch yourself there. Make sure you're looking out for number one there. And I think that is something that I never really thought of before. And that's something that's been eye-opening to me as an experienced professional, that I would never have really kind of thought about if somebody didn't point that out to me. So there is so much that I'm learning. Plus, of course, all these new technologies and everything else, and all these great things within our space and even outside of our space and personally. Like, I get so much personally from it, and become a better person just, in general, just from learning so much from folks that will call me their mentor.
Yeah, I was about to say, the young people, they keep me young. Like, I'm on the other side. I'm the uncle now. The uncle to the kids. Uncle
We are all young, all right?
Yeah. And they put me on the new music. They let me know what words are. Like, I didn't know what a Finsta was. So, like, dang, a fake Instagram Finsta. I'm learning all these new things from the youth. I know it now. The youth has empowered me. So
there's so much I don't know. And even just how to connect with my daughter better. Like, I'm just like, oh, help me look at least somewhat cool, or like a little bit, just a little bit, just so I can get by.
I'm not looking cool, but at least I'm absorbing.
Right. And they help my cred with my daughter, really, is what it is. Like, wow, that young person thinks you're cool, mommy. Wow, why?
There it is.
Stop it. Y'all are sounding very seasoned. Don't do that. Don't do that. We know what a Finsta is, everybody. We know what that is. All right. So I want to ask a little bit about advice.
Okay.
Right. On both ends of the spectrum. So for like mentees, how can mentees make the most out of their mentorship experience, or their mentoring experience, whatever? Answer that first, and then I'll ask the other part.
So I think it's all about communication, right? So like, hey, I'm coming to you because I really respect this, and I want to learn more about kind of your journey or whatever it might be, right? So if you tell me how I can help you, then I feel like, okay, it's easier for me to say, oh, great, yes, here's what we can do, or here's what I can give. Or maybe I'm not the right person, and maybe you think that I am, but here, let me introduce you to somebody who I think would be great. So I think that I like to say that, I like to think of myself as a connector too, because I do know a lot of people that sometimes it might not be me. I'm not necessarily the expert that a lot of people might think I am in one area or another. So let me help to make that connection for you. So I think it's all about just that communication and saying, hey, here's what I'm looking for. And I think that helps so much, from my perspective, at least.
Absolutely. Sometimes you gotta, encourage people to come out of their shell. Because I know for me, I don't like asking like,
right.
So this is what I need. I'm not even asking. I don't like saying this is what I need. These are what my needs are for some reason. And I need to work on that.
Yes, I can't do it either. I want you to tell me, but I can't. I'm terrible at it myself to tell people what I need.
It's hard. It's definitely hard. Okay, so part 2 of the question is, how can mentors adapt to like the ever evolving needs of their mentees?
Yeah, I think it is just a matter of being open, right? So being open to, okay, well, and asking the question. I ask a lot of questions. So anybody who might say that I'm their mentor is probably like, oh God, this woman has so many questions, because I'm just like, okay, well, tell me about this, and how did this happen, and how did you feel about that? So I think it's just being open to, okay, well, like, let me understand. I want to understand kind of your perspective. And I think that that's really important, of really being open to it and open to hearing kind of what you need, but also open to understanding kind of where you're coming from as well. Because we're not coming from the same place. No two people are ever coming from the same place. So, I think that's a really important to understand your perspective as well. So I think that that's an important part of it too.
I love it. And I was laughing at y'all because I think I'm the opposite. I'll be asking all kinds of help. Help me. Help me. You can see all the texts. I'll be texting anybody, no shame in my game.
Listen, I ask for a lot of help too. Everybody's like, how did you get this person to speak at this event? I asked them. That's how
what I'm saying. Yeah. I'll be reaching out to that was Rolodex, whatever. I'll be like, hey, I got somebody. I'll be asking all kinds of help.
Yes.
So I think, in the spirit of the affinity group and just identities, right? Maybe speak to, and I just want to hear your thoughts of the benefits in regards to mentorship for varied identity people. So, for instance, your identity as a woman, how's that been helpful to have a woman or someone other than a woman be your mentor? So just talk about that identity piece in mentorship for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to see folks who are like you, right? So that you can identify with. I think that's super important. That said, I've had a lot of amazing women mentors in my life. I've also had some really amazing men in my life too, that have been amazing mentors. So I think that there is part of like, you just connect with people that you're like sometimes. And you have those ability, to just connect with people who you have so much in common with. At the same time, you have the ability to learn from them because you have so much in common. You also have the ability to learn so much from folks that you don't have things in common with. So I would say, yes, it's easier. It's an easier kind of connection when there's so many commonalities there. So I think that makes it a little bit like easier just to connect. You have a lot of similarities and things in common. So that is an easier connection. I think that stepping outside of that, it makes it a little more difficult, but you still can learn so much. So I think I benefited kind of from both folks that I identify with, as well as folks that I might not identify with as much. So I've had mentors, like I said, that are male and female and all kinds of different backgrounds. And I think that all kind of give me a little bit something different. And that has been helpful in kind of helping me grow. I have a friend who I would definitely consider a mentor. She is one of the most amazing people probably I've ever met. And we are from very, very different backgrounds. But I think that's what makes us kind of have that special bond is we're learning from each other too. And it opens up my eyes and opens up her eyes too. And I think that's been really special and helpful throughout my career.
Yeah, I think Samara Reynolds, NACE Mentor of the Year. I sing her name and praises in every room that I'm in. Yes. We wrote an article about the thoughts of shared identities and different identity mentorship relationships. And I think you nailed it in a sense that for me, it is like a diversity, equity, inclusion learning tool, right? Like you learn about experiences of those that are different from you, and it builds your emotional intelligence and empathy. But then on the inverse too, when it's shared identity, it's also very helpful to have someone that can serve as a guide that look like you. So I like both, right? I have Black male mentors. I'm like, wow, they're paving the way for me. Shout out to Walter. You know what I'm saying? Walter taught, like, they're paving the way for me. But then additionally, I'm claiming you and Jen Rossi Long. I have other people that are like, wow, like I'm learning a little bit about your experience that, I need to be more empathetic to working moms, right? That's going to be something I'm thinking about, like, wow, the issues that they have. I need to make sure that if I'm in a leadership role, I have people that I've seen their, unique issues, and I make sure that I'm empathetic to that. So I love both. You should stretch yourself and have mentors across identities. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that makes me a better leader too, is having those different perspectives, right? So understanding one of my most favorite people in the world. I have a lot of favorite people, but it's a small little list. But Adrienne Alberts, like amazing, former Eastern ACE president. We were colleagues. We worked at Monster. We were colleagues back when we both worked in career centers. She's now the chief diversity officer of the American Red Cross. Like, wow, I am so lucky to have had her throughout my career. And like, Adi, I need to bounce something by you. Like, I'm going through this diversity issue right now, and I just need, a perspective. And I respect her, and we have worked together for so long, and it makes me open my eyes and think about things a little bit differently. And she's like my go-to person. Like, hey, this doesn't seem right to me. I need somebody to bounce this idea off of. And I'm so lucky to have that perspective and to have her as a mentor and a colleague and a friend. That is so important to kind of me, again, like you said, Phil, thinking about things that might not directly impact me, but are super impactful to everybody around me that I need to be thinking of. So although I might not be very diverse on the outside, like that is something that I need to think about and take into account in everything that I do. And so I always say, I need you to hold me accountable. I need you to make sure you're pushing me to look at things differently. And she does. And she's the best.
That's awesome. You know, I'm sitting here reflecting on my experience in mentorship, and honestly, I feel like I have so many people that I consider to be my mentor that I don't even call them mentor at this point. They've become family, you know. Like Tibby is no, she's not mentor. She is friend. You know, Phil, you are always going to be considered my mentor because the fact that you are just who you are, it just it empowers me. You know, okay, my favorite alpha, you already know. My favorite alpha. But like, you know, I keep on thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's a great mentoring relationship. Like, yeah, you establish your boundaries. It's not like I'm hitting up Tibby at 2 a.m. or hitting up Phil at 2 a.m., even though I know I can if I really
if you needed to, you could. Yes, exactly. Yes.
But just, I don't know. It's just a great relationship. I know that most recently, my executive director, I consider her to be my mentor. Shout out to Toy Tyson.
Oh, yes. Toy's the best.
Toy is absolutely the best. I love her.
Yes.
I consider her to be my leadership mentor at this point in time, you know, because she's absolutely amazing. And I know I could go to her for anything. And she always gives great advice no matter what. We could be in the middle of a meeting and next thing you know, she's just saying something and I'm like, girl, yes. Thank you. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I'm gonna give the last question, Phil, if that's okay. So my question is, and it's random, and Phil, you can answer this too. If you can have access to anybody in this world, whether past or present, doesn't have to be like somebody that's living right now or whatever, who would you want to be your mentor? Like, who would your dream mentor be? Yeah.
I can go first if I can give you a buffer. You want that, Joe?
Go for days because this is so difficult.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna be crazy. I would do my grandfather that I never met. And so, you know, I'm Philip Linwood Wilkerson III, right? And my grandfather, Philip Linwood Wilkerson, passed away when my dad was 13. And so I always randomly, I see pictures, I see this connection. I'm always like, what we laugh about, what we talk about. Supposedly my dad says he has an outgoing personality. I was like, maybe that's where I got it from, not you. But I think that would be my, like, you know, dead or alive, love to have a conversation, just chop it up, ask him, you know, anything I can. I'm a history major too, so I'll probably write down as much as I could and record as much as I could. So that's my go-to right now. The first person that popped in my head.
That's a good one. I'm going to go with Michelle Obama. I read her book. I've always kind of admired from afar, saw her little, you know, documentary. She just hits it on every level. And I just feel like she is an amazing businesswoman, so smart and thoughtful. She, you know, amazing mom, does amazing work for the community. And I just feel like there is so many amazing nuggets that she has that I would just like to get at, because I feel like she succeeds at everything on all. It's so hard as a working mom. Like how do you do it all? Like, and I want to do it all. I want to be, you know, the best mom, the best wife, the best, you know, the employee. I want to be the best at all of my outside work, you know, so all the organizations that I'm a part of, my church, everything. Like I want to do everything I can, like I'm best at like little league coach, like all that stuff. I feel like she does it, and I'm just like, how, and so easily, and she looks darn good doing it. Like, and I don't know how that happens either. So like, how do you be put together and have it all? Like, I just feel like she probably has so many nuggets that are just so valuable that I'd love to learn.
Absolutely. I'm mad because you took, you know, that's one of mine. One of mine too. Obama had just posted, like, her birthday just passed.
I saw that.
Turned 60. I'm like, 60?
I know.
Yeah, she was on the beach glowing.
They look like 60 to me.
60
But I bet if she talked to you, I bet the perception that you have of her, she'd probably say like, yes, I acknowledge that, but I don't have it all together, right? And I know. I think that's what the mentor part really does for me, is that people that you put on pedestals, obviously when you get behind the scene, if they're a real mentor, they'd be like, I'm just figuring this out as I go along too.
Listen, if you talk to Natalie and you asked her, like, does Jill have it all together? She'd be like, that girl don't have nothing together. Because she had the real deal, right? The inside scoop. That, you know, it's all smoke and mirrors on the outside, but I'm a hot mess, you know, down to the core.
Makes the best mentors. That's it.
Hot mess mentors. I love it. That's what I don't know. I might change it. Hot mess mentors. Well, I think we went over it. We probably could go for like another 30 minutes, but you know, want to respect our guest time, also respect our viewers. Thank you so much for chiming in. This will be captured not only on the platforms of Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, but we will also be uploading this post-production on Spotify. So for those that are audio listeners, yeah, Jill, I'm gonna rip the audio and put it on Spotify. So please be on the lookout for our next Eastern EACE Conversation. I believe it's like the second or third Friday of the month. I don't know the date, but it'll be out soon. And we really want to thank you, Jill, for your time, and thank you for being a great mentor to not only us but so many people within the association.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.